Upon crossing the threshold of Caer Seren, the group had encountered a frosty reception, particularly from Dragomir, the esteemed leader of the Griffin Witchers. Mareigh found herself in a tense verbal confrontation with him and negotiating the group's admittance into the Witcher Fortress. Meanwhile, while that was going on, guided by Lucian, the group had embarked on a tour of the ancient fortress, getting a sense of the locale here and soaking in some of its storied history. As the evening descended, Mareigh won entrance to the fortress for herself as well as the group, and they gathered in the Keep's common area, finding some solace in the sanctuary of this newfound haven and getting acquainted with the rest of the Witchers. So go ahead and load into the Fortress of Caer Seren, where we left off.
I believe the last time we were drinking.
Yes, the evening had found you all here in the fortress, and you had a few of you had a couple drinks too many, Mareigh in particular, while the Witchers were enjoying themselves. Mareigh was trying to keep up, and the Witcher's constitution was a little stronger, and so she's feeling
it's not
maybe
so
not
much that I
stumbling
was
drunk, but
it's not so much that I was trying to keep up as that I was trying to
Keep up.
not keep up. I was not trying to keep up with Witchers. I know better than to keep up with Witchers when it comes to drinking. I was letting off some steam. But I am drunk.
we'll say tipsy. Yeah, probably.
I'm tipsy.
I think you said you had 3 beers, so
I had 3 beers. I don't know how strong the beer is here.
It's it's a Cadwini stout, and so it's a strong beer, probably like 7% or something like that. Or a stout's probably like 6.5 or something. But you just haven't eaten a lot of food recently, and you've been traveling, and probably haven't had a ton of alcohol, so you're
I spent my lunch hour arguing with an old man.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. However, you have all gathered here, and Dragomir has just entered in, greeting the rest of the Witchers and pouring himself a large goblet of red wine that he seems to have pulled out from under the counter here. And he turns to all of you and says, "Welcome to Caer Seren, formally. Your compatriot here has convinced me, that you are at least worthy to be here for the time being, but do not cross any lines and stay where we can see you. You're welcome to wander the grounds and explore the library, but for now, unless you have an escort, please remain out of the upper floors and out of the kitchen." He looks particularly at Olgar at that, but feels like he's probably going to ignore.
So he's like a cat. Just can't tell him where to go. He goes where he pleases. Yeah.
Apparently.
Kaspar nods at that.
Yes, is there anything any of you would like to do or say here in the evening as you're kind of gathered around? The fire has been kindled and is roaring. The icy wind outside is blowing through the mountains, You can hear the distant crash of the sea against the rocks below.
I'll just thank him for once again extending their hospitality.
Of course, it seems as though, from what I have learned from Lucian and Julian, that you find yourselves in an unusual predicament. One that is perhaps not limited to your experiences.
No, indeed. It's a very unique circumstance.
Right, tell.
Unique, but not one of a kind.
Some
The Imbolc comet that passed several weeks ago. Just during the eve of that comet's passing, we all, gesturing to my group, experienced rather vivid dreams. They all started the same, being scrutinized by some large ancient figure, and then being thrust into scenarios where we each met a gruesome death.
Interesting.
And then when we all awoke, we were marked with the sign of the comet, and I'll pull out my sleeve and show the mark on the arm. It seems to act as sort of a conduit for chaos. It makes casting spells less taxing.
It is concerning. We, of course, observed the arrival of the prophesized comet, although really more just predicted is what it was, but to the lay person, it may seem a miracle. Is there any other information that we should be aware of before I examine the archives?
Whatever visions of these deaths we experienced, we know for a fact now they are not set in stone. We experienced this, what would be the lead up to the scenario of one of our deaths, and we all came out unscathed. So whatever fate it is trying to say, is trying to lay for us, it is not immutable.
Interesting. Dragomir will turn to the rest of the group as well, and will kind of cast his gaze across you. Has there been any other influence from this event?
Are you still cursed, Opheia?
Oh.
Are you still hexed? I think you are still hexed.
We need some ore. Did I write down what kind of ore I need?
I think it's called
The
glowing
answer
ore
is
or something.
A side effect of the experience has left Opheia with a hex on her.
I think so. It's
Hex of the nighttime, I think that's what it was called. I wrote it down. Let me see.
Nightmare hex, yeah,
Nightmare hex, yeah.
or something similar. It's something.
Oh, it's in my journal. That's where it's at.
Kilton,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
you can do magic now.
Yes, I was getting to that.
Interesting. And you're not
Never had a day of training in my life.
Fascinating. So it seems as though the bad dreams have carried over into the waking hours, and that some perhaps physiological changes have occurred. Not obviously, then perhaps beneath the surface. I will take this information. I am in passing, familiar with the prophecy and some of the information that has been discussed about this comet over the years, but it has been a long time since I have read the texts. Please make yourselves welcome this evening, and Rurik will prepare a proper meal and dinner, and I will return when I have found what I need.
All right.
With the information relayed to him from the events that have occurred to you and what transpired with the arrival of the comet, Dragomir takes that information and returns to the library. It's around perhaps 7 in the evening as the sun dips below the horizon, casting the last glimmer of light across Kaer, now enveloped in kind of the icy, frigid darkness of the far north. The warmth of the fire is all the more welcome. After some time, Rurik comes out with a nice roasted fish, a large fish from the village that you were at, and along with some trimmings and other delicious delicacies. And the mead and beer flows freely as you are all able to gain a good meal, so a +1. I don't remember exactly what I called
Good
it.
meal.
Let's put a little key on my DM screen. Like, did I say good meal, feast, and then I don't remember what the other base simple meal maybe? Whatever's in the book, but
Yeah,
Plus
I know
one.
I know that simple meal is one.
I think
I
it's
mean,
simple,
simple
good, and
meal
feast is the 3. So
Yeah.
So you get a simple meal. It's delicious, hearty, filling, well cooked, but nothing too elaborate. And still a little sparse, as they do need to make it through the winter still, so they're not having too much of a feast.
I would like to chat with Lucian.
Of course.
I also want to chat with Lucian.
What's
Julian
that
goes
crap?
and sits over with Olgar. There.
Lucian, I didn't have a chance to. What were you on when you hurt your leg?
Yes. A simple mistake on my part. I was fighting a griffin down south, and, well, as they say, I zigged when I should have zagged. The beast got the better of me and, nearly tore my lower leg free from my body, but I was able to land a killing blow and has been recovering slowly, although I may never run as fast as I used to.
Is there anything I can provide for you to aid in healing?
Well, Rurik's medicines have helped it greatly, and it is feeling better. I think at this point, all it really needs is a bit more time to heal, and perhaps a lighter season this coming summer. Although, with how much it takes for us to get through the winters these days, doesn't seem like taking a light load will be easy.
Have you put any thought into possibly working for a court?
Oh, Kaspar. That's not really my scene, as you know. Of course, I've worked for the occasional lord or duchess from time to time. The pay is always fine, but the clients are always insufferable. And sometimes there's more important things than stroking some royal's ego just for a few coin.
You're much better suited to it than I am. You almost come across as human.
Yes, well, the eyes don't help, but you know, I like it out here. It might be cold and a bit lonely from time to time, but well, me and the others, this is our home. While we may travel far if need be for work in order to provide for what we need, well, it's always a blessing to return to this place when I'm able. But what about you, Kaspar? Seems as though you've been finding at least enough work to get by. Your court days are done then?
No, that was where I was going to be heading. The reason I'm with this kind of gestures to the rest of the party crew is because we were supposed to go to Toussaint.
Ah, Toussaint. Yes, no shortage of work out in those parts. Surrounded by mountains full of monsters and a valley full of pompous rich people. Afraid of what lurks beyond their borders. Plenty of work out there.
Yes. A favor is owed to me from a very long time ago. When I first started, I'm hoping to gain steady work. Though, I don't know if we'll make it. I don't know if I will fit in with the court. You know, I don't clean up well.
Well, Kaspar, I believe in you. It seems as though you set your mind to it, and I don't see any reason why the royals of Toussaint wouldn't welcome somebody with your skill set. I'm sure you'd best any one of their knights in their silly, shiny armor. Speaking of which, if you have time, perhaps tomorrow, we should train together. My knee is feeling up to at least some light sparring, and it'd be good to see how you've been holding up since I last saw you.
Yes. Sounds amenable. And Kaspar kind of pulls down like the collar of his shirt a little bit to show that he has like a scarf across his neck, and he says, "My voice is never going to recover entirely, but the scar is not as deep as I previously thought it was going to be, thanks to you."
Of course. I'm glad that your recovery has at least been, well, at least you recovered. And that's more than can be said for many of our brothers. It's sometimes the injuries that don't kill us that, well, they take the most sometimes. Meanwhile, Rurik is sitting over in the living room area. He has fully woken from his nap previously and has made dinner and such and is settling back in. He has a large stein. He kind of, you can see this chair is regularly where he sits. It's kind of like formed
His
to his
spot.
body as he
His
kind of
spot.
slouches in his chair.
The ass
And-
mark.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Smudge.
He turns to Opheia and says, "Well, you're one of them druids, right?
You are correct.
I seen it about you. You got the smell of one."
I was in the fishing village for a few days. But
I don't
yes.
mean literally. That'd be quite rude of me to say. I just meant you look like one. You look like you got the look of a druid. And
You have
the way
verbal-
my medallion vibrates.
You have the visual smell.
I suppose I have the druid mannerism of eavesdropping. You're the resident apothecary here?
Well, you could say that. I'd get up to a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I've never been much one for fighting, per se. They used to make fun of me back when there were more witchers, but, well, who's laughing now? But, I generally prefer alchemy and gardening and a little bit of cooking. No, although I'm not great at it. The fish tonight was a little burned, but, you'd think after 200 plus years I'd have learned how to cook a fish, but it just never quite seems right.
Fish is hard.
A few weeks ago, there was a comet that flew over. I heard, were you part of the group? I heard from Dragomir that he at least saw it. Did you also see it?
Oh yeah, we had there were 3 of us that were here. We set up a little watch party up on the roof of the library. It was pretty fun. Interesting to see for sure. Haven't seen something like that. Well, nothing quite like that ever, I guess.
Really? You just... I didn't take the residents here to be the stargazing type, I guess.
Well, it's always... for one, there's not a lot to get up to around here in the off-season, so we take the entertainment that we can get. And, well, all of us are lovers of learning. When you live in a place like Kerserin for as long as we have, you learn to appreciate the interesting things around you that happen in the world.
So why are you a witcher, exactly?
Well, because, my father, my mother died when I was very young. My father just gave me away, didn't have the means to provide, and, well, that was some 240 years, I guess, back when there was a lot more witchers and a lot more monsters for us to fight.
I know the story. I meant still, though.
Oh, well, because, I'm kind of a mutant old man. Not exactly a lot of options out there for me these days. It either means I get to live in a big castle and people are afraid of me when I look at them weird, or I get to be a beggar on the streets of Oxenfurt, so...
You don't think you might make a fine druid. It's a more respectable way to earn a living, so to speak.
I suppose so. But, my seasonal pilgrimage, I usually head out to the bigger cities and sell off a lot of the alchemical things I make here during the winter. It's a little different than most of the other witchers, but it gets me by all right and makes my share of the work equitable. And I also take care of the grounds here a lot more than the others, so I return a little sooner and get it all ready for the winter. So when they return, it's nice for them.
I adore this witcher. I adore this old man witcher so much.
The griffins are good.
I love the griffins.
Yeah.
Also, Opheia, why are you a witcher? Why do you think? It's not exactly a job you can quit.
This man is challenging stereotypes that Opheia has.
Good, she needs it.
Yeah, he's a witcher who's thoughtful.
Yeah, again,
Exactly.
Kaspar is just
bad. Like, Kaspar is just, like, the worst one. Do not base your opinions on Witchers based on Kaspar.
Well, you're the only one I know.
But what about you, then? Seems like you've got a pretty sweet life as a druid, it sounds, if you're trying to recruit.
I'm not. I guess I shouldn't be proselytizing. I said it more out of desperation. I haven't met as many as I'd like.
Oh, really? Well,
I'm
guess,
not officially part of any circle, so.
Well, there's benefits both ways, I guess. I mean, you know, sometimes belonging to a group like that can bring things that you can't get other places. Or is there other reasons that you're not part of a circle? I don't mean to pry.
I'm from Agrin, and there just wasn't one there. And I've heard mixed things about anything that was nearby, but it's part of why I'm going to Toussaint. It's one of the last refuges for any circle. A lot of druids these days are, like me, doing it alone, helping out whatever communities we run into before they lose a taste for us and throw us onto the road.
Well, that seems like as good a plan as any. I have heard that there are a number of druid circles that have banded together in the forests of Toussaint. Good people, from what I've heard, though I haven't visited myself.
I guess I'm just indecisive. I'd like to see what my options are before committing to one, because it is a commitment.
Oh yeah, of course. And, you know, I never know. Sometimes they can be, well, anybody can be suspicious of outsiders looking for a way in. So just watch your step with not just druids, but everybody that you meet.
It's just different. I want to push myself. I want to unlock the world with magic, but every time I seem to try to get my hands on it, there's something stamping me down.
Well, that's the world for you. There's always something stomping you down, and then there's somebody stomping them down, and, well, all the way up.
On an unrelated note, so what alchemy do you get up to? I'm just sorry. It just occurred to me that you sell things in town. I didn't think witchers were capable of making elixirs that wouldn't kill the average mortal.
Well, I get a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I also brew some of my own meads and things here. Stuff that's collected by myself and the other witchers. And I fiddle with some tinctures and things like that. Mostly medical supplies and cure-alls, things like that. That locals in Lan Exeter and Pontfunny find useful.
We'll both have to
Was
pick
that-
his brain this week, then.
Was that stout you're doing?
Oh no, that's some Cade Winnie stout that Lucian brought back. That's good stuff, but no, most of the things I work on here are meads and some lighter things like that. I've tried beer, but it hasn't been the best. Drinkable, but we did some moonshine for a while, but it was a lot of work, and the equipment was unruly.
Witcher Moonshine also sounds like something that would obliterate a mortal, but I'm
It started to
intrigued.
obliterate us. It was pretty strong stuff. So
The Cat Witchers definitely make Witcher Moonshine.
I feel like the more I think about it, the cat witchers are like the rednecks in the woods that are like,
Yeah,
Mhm.
Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely.
y'all want us to find a monster? We got some moonshine.
We got elves here too.
We got elves, we got girls. You want
We
to
let
see a
dwarves
girl witcher?
join.
You ever heard of that? Bet you ain't.
So,
Sure shit,
the-
bet you ain't.
corner over here, Lucian is talking to Kilton, trying to get the details of the battle with the beast and your encounter with the wolves and warg as he plies you for details.
Just wearing the finely made warg pelt.
Yes, so tell me all the details of the fight itself. You said you set up some sort of trap and
There may
lured
have
the
been a
beast
trap,
to you.
Yes. Don't remember it that way. I believe traps may have been involved. We definitely tried to feed it. I think I threw a bottle of wine at it. I don't know. It's sort of a blur. I think I might be traumatized.
Oh my. It does sound very frightening. I'm quite glad I didn't go.
As I hear it, I killed the beast.
Oh, did you? I've heard.
With help, of course.
Interesting. Oh, Mr. Kilton, this could make for quite a good story.
This is
A monster slaying
Julian?
merchant. This
Or
is Julian,
Lucian?
yeah.
This is Julian.
Okay. Yes, well, you know how it is. A monster slaying merchant. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Write that down.
You
Write
can,
that
you can
down.
have that one for free, Julian.
You came up with it.
Hang on, don't
I
give
came up
away
with it.
anything for free. Next one will cost you, though. Yes, as I was saying, and I just go on I'd say probably very inaccurate description of the fight based on the perspective of somebody who, like, got 2 good hits and then ran inside a building to hide. Who wasn't involved with setting the trap, who wasn't involved with luring it, just kind of like hanging out. Like, I don't think Kilton actually knows really all what happened. He didn't even know he killed it until like after the fact.
Kilton, go ahead and give us a charisma check as you're telling this story to Julian.
Please. 17.
17, yeah. Julian is quite enraptured in the story. You see, writing down details and crossing things out. He seems like he's making up a few of his own details as well, and kind of maybe changing a few things here and there, but he seems overall enraptured with your story.
Just peek over at the notes. Hang on, mate. I didn't know we were lying about this. If that was the case, I would have let you in on something bigger and better. The warg here came to my rescue against the beast, actually. Died
Oh, that's
fighting
good.
it to
Oh my goodness.
defend a mortal blow, and it's dying words to me. And wargs can speak, you know. Turn me into a coat. Don't let my fur go to waste. It spoke.
Oh my goodness. Speaking with animals, now that is a twist I
As
didn't see
alive.
coming.
Yes, write it down. Write it down. Exactly.
God, worse than
All right.
Volo.
As the evening
when he snaps
progresses
into my head.
onwards, let's see. I want to check real quick. As the evening wears on, you have your conversations, get to know, catch up with Lucian. Before Dragomir returns, I think, Opheia, you did say you had something you were going to say to Lucian, or do you want...
Oh, I was just going to ask any general witcher about stargazing, but actually, no, I will ask one thing to Lucian.
All right.
I'll just pour myself another drink and say, Lucian, how? I actually don't know you that well. What's your job around here?
Well, during the winter here, I tend to normally go out and hunt and gather supplies, both for Rurik for his alchemical things, as well as for Dragomir and any of the rituals or things that we need to perform during the winter. This season has been a bit different as my injury has prevented me from doing a lot of the things I would normally do. So a lot of light training and reading has been my job recently.
He's on bed rest. Light duty.
I do need to improve my first aid skills. If you want, I could see if I could do anything to expedite the healing process. Expedite means speed up in this instance.
Of course, yeah, that would be more than welcome. Perhaps visit me tomorrow in my chambers upstairs, and that will, if you have any abilities to heal through your magics, that would be more than welcome.
I didn't say through magics, but, well, give it a week, and maybe through magic. How about I see you in a week?
Absolutely.
Assuming you're not better by then. But I'm going to excuse myself. I excuse myself.
All right.
Opheia doesn't, she doesn't like how well-adjusted he is. It scares her.
Stop challenging my perceptions of you. Stop it.
Kaspar kind of leans into Lucian. He's kind of just been sitting near Lucian, sort of only person I know at the party type vibe. Leans in and just says, I think that Opheia is someone who doesn't much care for witchers, and I don't know if it would be the smartest course of action to allow her to experiment her new magics on you.
Well, I can only assume that if she's offering to help, then she has at least some sort of good intention. And after all, she is our guest here, as you all are, so I will heed your advice, Kaspar, but I think I'll be all right. Kind of gives you a smack on the back. It's a big swig of his ale. At this point, Dragomir reappears. You see he has a large armload of books and tomes, dusty with ages, from the library here at Kersarin. He gestures to you all to gather round and make yourselves comfortable as he sets some of the books down on the table and turns to you all. He says, I have learned some things, refreshed my memory, and think you will find some of it interesting. He flips through this large notebook, turning to some... you see, the pages here are of a make that suggests this tome is quite old. Some sort of papyrus-type paper that is clearly hand-pressed and very old.
Ancient texts.
Yes, the prophecy of the Unbound I'm not sure how familiar you are with this. It's often a old wives' tale, folk story that is passed down and told around village campfires of the comet of Philaretos Galaris. A story that is supposedly prophesized by this mage many centuries previous. The prophecy as
I want to
written
just motion to.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
I was gonna motion to Dandelion, like, "Ooh, hey, write this down. Write this down."
He's got his scribe book ready. Yeah.
You might need to remember this later.
I will also be taking notes.
Let's see. Yes. Here on this page is the prophecy as recorded some years after the death of Galaris. It says, "Beneath the celestial veil, the comet's fiery gleam. From sphere unknown, a harbinger of evil dreams. Marking an alignment, evoking shadowed fears. 6 moons shall pass ere the black sun appears. Amidst the silent symphony of cosmic decree, the Ancient One awakens, its chains breaking free. With each twilight's passage, its power doth grow. If freed from its prison, ruin and death it will sow. Bound by lineage, the servants bear the scar, descendants of yore, called from near and far. Stained by ancient ties, they carry the brand, compelled to heed their master's command. The threads of destiny weave their intricate path, guiding the world towards a future and a darkened wrath. In the shadows of the heart, the Ancient One waits, wielding power to vanquish time and end all fates." This was the nearest that we have of Galaris's prophecy. The original text was lost, but we understand this to be as close to his original decree.
So those marked with the signs of the comet, of the moons, the alignment, those would be the servants.
Us.
Us and many other people. It was not just us that was affected by this comet. The troll was affected by it. There were townspeople affected by it in Pont Veni and in Len Exeter.
The troll's grandpa was like a servant to something.
No, I don't think it has. Does it have to do with lineage?
It
Yes.
says lineage in the
We're
thing,
the
though.
servants bound by our ancient lineage. Or whoever has a scar. Assumed it was us.
Maybe the lineage is just sapient life.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Whoever's
I'm
still
concerned-
around.
I'm concerned by this Ancient One title.
That must be the figure we saw. The thing that bound us.
Growing more powerful. It didn't seem very friendly.
No. And the ritual it was using, the circle it had called us to, where it invoked us, was ancient elven. Very, very old.
I'd like to know how many elves have been affected by this phenomena, if it's affecting them more or less. We've only seen humans and witchers
Troll.
and the troll. We haven't seen any elves affected yet.
Yes,
Mail wasn't
it's-
so unreliable. I could send an inquiry to Doblathana, but I don't think it reached it in time.
Until the events that have transpired recently, almost all presumed this to be not but a tale of fiction created by Galorus. But it seems as though, by the marks on your arms and the events that have transpired, that there might be more truth to this than we had previously given it credit for.
If I'm understanding it correctly, these marked servants are fuel or just survivors of whatever doomsday that this dark one is going to unleash when it awakens. I'm not quite sure.
Yes, from the writings that I have discerned this evening and recall from times past, the servants are of an unknown number, but it is said that they will supposedly be drawn towards this entity, as if drawn by the threads, pulled towards this entity. And it does appear as though, as the prophecy suggests, that the servants will be somehow fuel for this entity in some capacity. What that
Worse.
means...
Considerably worse.
The writings are old and translations are difficult. It's difficult to understand for sure that the grammar is correct there. But it is said that from Galorus's writings, he seemed to think that there was there's an alignment. The comet itself is not necessarily the trigger, but is not starting pistol, the starting mark for the alignment's beginning. A kind of breakthrough of the spheres that has marked the freedom of this entity as it grows in power. When this alignment is complete, it will be at its strongest, but that does not mean that it is not growing in power with day.
This alignment he speaks of, could it possibly be another conjunction? Another world crossing into ours? A world where this thing has maybe been sealed and is awaiting its opportunity to find its way here?
I hope not.
It's possible. At this rate, anything is possible. The likelihood that another conjunction that potentially could mean cataclysmic changes to the world. This seems, from my interpretations of it, to be more localized. But I could be wrong.
Just a local apocalypse.
Caspar kind of hears all of this. Caspar hears all of this, and he just kind of downs his pint that he was holding and, goes, damn it, Hull. And he's going to leave the room.
Oh, this must be his first time experiencing existential dread.
Maybe he's just drunk.
I would blame
he's
him,
definitely
actually.
not drunk. It's a fair reaction. This is bigger than anything that we've experienced in our lifetimes.
Or anyone's lifetime before us. I don't suppose that Galorus had any advice on what to do about this.
I will have to dig deeper into the archive to see. Galorus was quite protective of his writings, especially as people drew to mock him and his ideas. He had a penchant for predicting things that did not come to pass. So people were eager to disprove them.
The soothsayer who cried apocalypse.
Indeed.
That's what makes the predictions worthwhile. We were given predictions in our dreams, and at least one of them so far was averted.
I have to wonder if that's playing into the wills of this creature or playing against it. Or is it actual defiance?
I don't think we have any choice. I don't think it's to our advantage to have our surly witcher over there consumed by a monster, but that's just me.
Yeah, right?
Thank you for your research, Dragomir. This has given us much to think about, and we will continue to look into this for as long as we're here.
Yes, there's much to read and learn. This was but the beginning of my research. I will return to the library and we shall speak more. Perhaps your friend used some consoling. It seemed distraught. Dragomir will retreat. He grabs he just grabs like a pitcher of beer and takes like the whole thing.
Fuck yeah.
And
Fuck yeah.
heads back to the library.
Hey.
That's a daddy witcher.
As
Papa witcher.
Kaspar retreats outside and the group is left to ruminate on the information that Dragomir has learned so far, that is where we will wrap up for now, and we will pick up there next time.
Yeah.
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 Apocalypse now.
Apocalypse
later.
now.
Apocalypse scheduled.
Apocalypse in roughly
scheduled.
4 to 6 months.